This is a study that any land developer or builder should take notice. There is a real push today to create affordable housing, especially with rising construction costs and the current interest rate situation. We begin looking at the architecture of the townhome unit. It features an attractive facade and what would be considered an asset to the community. This unit is most likely to be laid out in a tight grid fashion as shown on this site. Assuming a 20-foot setback from the rear yard, as well as a 20-foot front yard setback from a public street that is 50 foot wide, along with 10-foot clearance between the unit side, we end up with 18 townhomes. This is a density of 14.4 units per acre. The unit is just over 23 foot wide and 40 feet deep. Anybody would assume that this would be a great model to provide affordable housing. Let's take a look at the upper and lower floor plans of this unit from a spatial and efficiency perspective. The highlighted area shown here is hallway. As you can see on the upper and lower floor, there is an enormous percentage of floor plan and hallway space. The more hallway space, the less functional space there is. The results are smaller living areas and bedrooms. As we enter the unit, there's a coat closet on the left and a small powder room on the right. Passing this, we have a stairway on the left, and on the right off the garage is a utility area for the HVAC system. We have now walked more than halfway through the unit before we enter the living space. As we can see in this living area, there's room for a small couch, coffee table, and a chair, but not enough room for much else. After all, this is a solution for affordable housing, and too often space is sacrificed. Each unit has a concrete patio that overlooks a small backyard and a screening fence. Let's venture upstairs to the abundant hallway space that consumes the upper floor, leaving very little space for the bedrooms. Off of this hallway space is a bathroom for the two smaller bedrooms and the laundry room. We look at the neighborhood plan. The street is the main focus, not the attractive facades. The more affordable the housing, the lower price and older the vehicles will be, which creates an overpowering and negative landscape feature. No matter what the budget is to make the face of the building as attractive, the fact is vehicles from working-class families will detract from the essence the designers wanted to achieve. Combine this with the fact that the nicer vehicle will be protected within the garage, the lesser vehicle will be showcased outside. Now let's go back to the site plan and highlight the percentage of the site that is focused on the living area of the townhome. This is area where the residents will dwell more than likely over 95% of their day. We can see that only 35% of the site area is dedicated to the living space for the residents, and 65% of the land is dedicated to the vehicular traffic and service. Also notice that unless the city requires sidewalks on one or both sides of the dedicated street, there will be no pedestrian system. Now let's look at the alternate study. The site plan is the same density and the same site area. Notice that the unit itself is deeper, and the parking area is no longer behind the garage, but instead inset next to the garage. The units are also 22 foot wide instead of 23 foot wide. Both units have identical footprint area. By inserting the parking on the main level, we eliminated the hallway space of the previous plan. The living area is considerably larger on the main level. Overall usable living space went up by 37%, bedroom area increases by 9%, and the bathroom and closet areas increased 10%. But those are the numbers, and people don't live by the numbers, they live by feel. As the residents enter the unit, they are immediately presented with a huge amount of space. Not only is there room for a sectional, a nice dining room set easily fits within the unit. The difference in space is massive. In addition, the units are staggered to provide a panoramic view to the significantly increased green space adjacent to the living space within the unit. As we venture upstairs to the loft area, we see that there is plenty room to have an office or study space within that area. There's a laundry room adjacent to the loft and a larger main bedroom. The two minor bedrooms are also larger. As we look at the site plan, we see that 50% of the site area is dedicated to living space and 50% dedicated to vehicular space. This site has a 24-foot wide private lane versus a 28-foot wide public street pavement of the previous layout. The offset from the edge of the private drive to the corner of the garage is 6 feet. So instead of dedicating 90 feet from garage to garage, we reduced that space to 36 feet. Even though the homes are at a slight angle to achieve a panoramic view, and we have increased the depth of the unit by 10 feet, we gained 15 feet of green space between the property line and the unit itself. There is a 4-foot wide pedestrian system in the serene common area far from vehicular traffic. What was the front of the unit is now the rear, but not serviced by a narrow alley, but instead serviced by a wider private drive. The negative impact of vehicular clutter is significantly reduced. The total amount of driveway is reduced by 10%, and the total amount of private drive pavement versus public street pavement is reduced by 15%. Another factor should be that public street is typically far more expensive to build than private lanes. Building a wrap-around front porch is obviously more expensive than a concrete slab for a patio. The deeper unit with an inset parking has an overall 15% increase in wall space, and obviously the added pedestrian system would cost more. However, this cost would not be significantly more than if the city required a walk both sides of a dedicated street. In the end, it's all about the bottom line. The reduction in overall pavement should help pay for the increase in construction cost and having a full front porch. If the builder or developer simply wanted to save every possible penny, they would probably go with the original plan. If the developer or builder wanted to deliver a more livable, spacious, attractive, and functional neighborhood that would surely rent or sell faster while providing affordable living, then this would be a much more attractive alternative. You be the judge.